Good evening, everybody. I'm Eli Hamm, and I thought we needed a little bit more information about the 501c status or our nonprofit status. There's been quite a bit of debate lately about whether or not we should be opening our hall for different people, such as sound therapy or the dancing group, or even our tennis pro. And so I thought I would dig in a little bit and see if we could answer some of these questions. All right, the first issue that we've been discussing is what type of nonprofit status do we have? We know we have nonprofit status, but there's actually many different types. And so we actually have 501c7, which is a social and recreational club. We used to be more of a general nonprofit, but I think that was changed in sometime in around 2020. All right, the big question. What is a 501c7 social and recreational club? That's what we are. But what it is that we need to be organized strictly for pleasure, recreation, and it requires actual social interaction and mingling among its members. IRS had a case study on their website. There were 2 airplane clubs. One club met just to share hangar space and save themselves money. Another club met and they shared tools. They helped each other work on the airplanes, and they also shared hangar space. One of the clubs, the ones that just shared hangar space for the convenience and the cost effectiveness, was disbanded and they lost their 501 status. The one that stayed together, they worked together, they fixed their airplanes together, that was the intention of the rule. And that's where we fall, and we have to make sure that we protect that. In our case, we really have to watch out to make sure we don't become a banquet hall. Right? We have our hall, we have our facilities, and most of the time we rent out the park or we rent out the hall, and sometimes it's residents, sometimes it's non-residents. The IRS has some pretty strict rules in this case. We need to make sure that no more than 15% of our budget comes from the rental of our hall, tennis courts, any of those things. So 15% of our budget, that's $49,000. My calculations, we got $1,000 from Regina for our tennis, and the total tall rental was only $25,000. So we are still way below that cap. If we were to rent to a whole bunch of non-residents, somehow increase the rate of the hall rental, then we could possibly have a problem in this area. But we need to keep in mind that the goal of this whole facility is to make sure that Park Stockdale residents are mingling together and sharing time. To answer the big question, can we rent our facilities to non-residents and still maintain our 501c7 status? And the actual answer is absolutely. Having a tennis pro 100% falls within our guidelines. That's the whole point of having the tennis courts. And if having a pro brings us together, then that's even better. Right now, very few of our residents actually take advantage of that, but it is there. And so the design is our residents would take advantage of having a tennis pro. Right now, our residents can use the hall and they can rent that. They can have parties. They can bring people together from the neighborhood. That's perfect. Could we use something like the hall to have a dance class? Absolutely. That's exactly what this is about, especially if residents are invited. If residents are not invited, that becomes a separate thing. That would fall under our 15% maximum income coming from that rental. So do we need to be careful? A little bit. But overall, we need to really keep in mind that our facilities are there so that our residents can use them and that we can mingle together. I had AI take a look at our situation, and it brought up some few things that Tom and Hubble have already taken care of. So we've already fired the white paperwork. Everything is on track. In the future, we should probably make sure that we really track income from the non-residents. So if we have a non-resident renting the hall, then that becomes an issue. We need to make sure we keep track of that. Another thing that I didn't put on the slides that did come up along this process is that if we have an outside person, then they absolutely need to have their own insurance. So any person renting the hall, whether they're an individual person or an organization, They're kind of treated like an organization. They're somebody that's subcontracting our haul, and they should be responsible for it. And so this sort of brought up that whole insurance issue that we've been discussing as well. I don't 100% know about residents yet, and I hope we can find out more about that. But in the case of non-residents, 100% they need to have their own insurance. I hope this was informative, and you can go through the slides more slowly and read each of the bullet points, and hopefully that will be helpful.